Welcome back. This is the 12th and final round of Swiss at the 2015 North American World Championship Qualifier. We have Chris Pobi-Mensah, who you might have seen a month ago as the runner-up in the 150th YCS in Columbus, versus Jordan Bermudez. Both of them are sitting at 26 points. That's a record of 8 wins, 2 draws, and a loss. 3 points for each win gets you up to 24, plus 1 more for a draw each. So both of them are in dire need of this last win to make their case for the playoff cut to 64. And Chris Pobi-Mensah is wasting no time, starting things off with Senju up 1,000 hands. And it actually appears that Bermudez has gone first, but passed his first turn.
Pobi-Mensah and Bermudez are both using a Nekroz deck. There are no trap cards in Bermudez's deck, but Pobi-Mensah is using 2 copies of Solemn Scolding, which we've actually been seeing quite a bit of recently. Yeah, you run 2 because you want to see them more often than not, but you don't really want to draw 2. So instead of running 3, which is I think like a 15% chance or so of getting a double, you drop that chance down to 1.5. Yeah, you don't want to see more than 1 because it's a hefty life point cost of 3,000.
And more importantly, if you have 2, you can't play them because it has to be your only set card.
Right. Well, yeah, you can't play them together.
Yeah, you have to do 1 at a time.
Yeah, which.
All right, so we've got a Kaleidoscope from Pobi-Mensah that's going to get Unicorn and Valkyris on the field, and then he goes ahead and tributes a Mandu of the 10,000 hands and assure it from his hand to draw 2 cards with Valkyris and then search for a warrior. Right now, the field is looking like 51 plus 1,500 more. That could be a total of 6,500 damage right now. And his opponent has activated Max C as well. So he'll be drawing for each special summon. For each special summon from here on out. Unicorn gets the call. And it looks like Pobi-Mensah has Bullblader in his hand as well, that he's drawn off of Valkyris. He activates Reinforcement of the Army to get a second Shuret. He's got Cycle in his hand as well, so I think he's looking to end this thing right now.
Kind of risky under Max C, right?
Not risky at all if your opponent has nothing.
Oh, that's right. He has no Nekroz monster in his graveyard. That
brings back Brianak and attacks for everything, winning the game on his very first turn, the second turn of the duel. And you know what the best part about that is?
I do know what the best part about that is. We saw him lose in that exact same fashion at in the finals of the last YCS, the 150th.
He had the chance to do that exact same thing to Kinsley and didn't do it.
Yes.
And then lost on the swing back.
The difference here, however, is, as you mentioned, and as I initially made the mistake of saying, in this match, Bermudez did not have a Nekroz card in his graveyard, so there was no chance whatsoever that he would be able to discard Nekroz of Valkyris to block all of Pobi-Mensah's attacks and leave Pobi-Mensah vulnerable. Here, it was a sure thing for Pobi-Mensah. So he was able to just swarm the field and attack to end the duel without worrying about the position he would be in afterwards, since he would just win then and there. But I do wonder if Pobi-Mensah's reevaluating his how aggressively he plays the deck after the finals of the last YCS. Would he have gone for it there if his opponent had a Nekroz card in the graveyard?
Good question.
We don't know.
But we still have another game where we might find out. Side decking seems like it's going to be fairly quick here. In general, you main deck most of the cards that you need for the matchup that you're going to see the most often.
Certainly looks like it here.
So all you're really going to get in is maybe stuff like Lancia that you're not comfortable with main decking, just in case, because it's not useful at all against the rest of the decks. And you might get other things like you get a Mind Crush in, etc. Or you could put in more Monster Effect Negation. Monster Effect Negation always useful here. If you've got your Torrential in your side deck instead of the main deck, now would be the time to get it. Could see all of the above.
Yeah, looks about right.
Players seem to be just about done with their actual side decking. No, actually, looks like Bermudez is still deciding on a few things. But Pobi-Mensah knew exactly what he was going to do and did so very quickly.
I think Pobi-Mensah is very used to this matchup. Bermudez probably is also, but I can't say for certain. But we know that Pobi-Mensah has a lot of experience playing the Nekroz deck, as we were able to see from his runner-up finish at the 150th YCS. And it's safe to say that he has a lot of experience playing against Nekroz decks, as I can't imagine he would have gone that far in the tournament without playing against several of them.
Now, I mean, you say that, but I remember I was talking to, I was reading some Facebook status updates from various players who were at the event, and I recall reading something from Jeff Jones, who we haven't seen today, even though he did make day 2 as part of the top 256, but he apparently just didn't play any Nekroz at all in day 1.
Yeah, so I guess it can happen.
It can
Perhaps
happen.
My assumption is not as safe as I had thought it would be.
And for more proof, remember that we didn't see any yesterday.
That is true.
Other than the one time that we were specifically looking for it.
Yeah, that is fairly bizarre. So, yeah.
Sometimes it just happens.
Yeah, I guess,
you think one of those people would be playing against Nekroz at some point, but apparently not.
Yeah.
All right, both players are definitely done side decking now. And it is going to be Bermudez's choice of whether or not to go first or second this time around. I suspect, after what happened last time, he's going to take the second turn.
That sounds like a reasonable expectation.
And we see Dance Princess over on Pobi-Mensah's hand.
Interesting. He sided that in.
Oh, I guess he did. That is actually pretty useful. I believe it stops your opponent from chaining at all to the activation of your ritual spells. Sets 2 cards face down and passes back to Bermudez. Yeah, your opponent can't activate cards or effects in response to the ritual spell cards. And one of the reasons that you want this here is because you know your opponent plays Max C, so you can just summon Dance Princess and force them to use the Max C preemptively if they've got it.
Wow, we're seeing a lot of aggression in this match.
Yeah. Bermudez knows exactly what happened, sends 5-headed dragon from his extra deck to the graveyard with Kaleidoscope.
That's a nice stylish choice of monster to send to the graveyard.
Drop Valkyrus and Unicorn onto the field.
Personally, I'm still a fan of Blue Eyes Ultimate.
Blue Eyes Ultimate?
Yeah.
Normal summon of Senju is up next. And Breakthrough Skill is activated to stop the search from that Senju. That's a pretty good move, because Bermudez didn't get a search off of Unicorn being summoned because he, sent 2 cards, or sent 5-headed dragon to summon 2 monsters instead of the Herald to summon 1. He has essentially managed to cut, or Pobi-Mensah has essentially managed to cut Bermudez off of searches this turn, outside of the effect of Valkyrus. But now we see Book of Moon here to turn Valkyrus face down, and thus prevent it from using its ability as well. So Bermudez has basically just stopped, or has been stopped from searching at all this turn.
Yeah, that's pretty good for Pobi-Mensah.
Bermudez considers consolidating these 2 level 4 monsters into an Xyz monster.
Not much you can really take here. I guess the Volatile Chain just to kick a card to the grave.
Or put something on
choose
top
his next draw.
Next turn. Activates the effect. Puts Manju most likely on top of his deck. Be nice to draw a Manju next turn.
Where's the card? I was right there. I'm so sorry. I didn't even see it. I was like, oh, it's gone.
So that'll be a good draw next turn.
And that'll finish things up for Bermuda's turn.
Like Poby Mensah doesn't have much in his hand either.
And now he draws the torrential that he probably could have used just a few seconds ago.
Yeah, that certainly would have been good before.
Sets that and passes.
It's probably still going to be, well...
Valkyris is flipped face up. That represents 4,600 damage on the field. So, if Bermuda's were to just attack with those two monsters, he could take it.
Yeah, he would win here and now. Would you activate Torrential Tribute there, or do you think that would leave you too vulnerable? Because, well, it's really a question of, do you think that Bermudez is going to summon again?
So here's the deal. You know he stacked Manju and you're up a game, so
yeah,
I think you wait and try to get the value here because you can start, or you can go second.
Probably going to summon it. Now, is there a reason to summon it here before attacking? What card could that face down?
No, there's no reason.
Card be that you...
Unless you think he's playing Mirror Force.
Oh, look at... So now he tributes his chain.
Because there's no Nekroz cards in the graveyard.
Yeah. Now he summons. So that was interesting.
All right, and that's not enough to take him out, but the Torrential Tribute is flipped anyway.
I think it makes sense to flip it there since the normal summon is used.
Yes. That clears Poby Mensah's field out, and he's nodding his head like, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I meant to do.
Yeah. I can't see much of a reason not to have just attacked with the Lavalval chain and the Valkyris.
One card off the Valkyris.
Yeah, unless I'm doing the math wrong, and I don't think I am. 28 and 18, it's 46, right?
Yep, it would be more than enough.
No Nekroz cards in the graveyard.
If it's a Mirror Force, it's going to destroy everything anyway. Well, maybe he thought it was a Mirror Force, so he wanted to draw cards?
Could be. All right, we got Kaleidoscope. This time it does send Herald of Arclight after a search. That search picks up Brionac, sent straight to the graveyard from the hand for yet another search. It's Shuret. And cycle for Shuret.
So it looks
back to Valkyris.
So it looks like it didn't matter. Maybe that's why he did it. He thought if I lose my field, I'll win.
Yeah, we'll see if you can just remove all chance from it, but it wasn't super necessary. But two quick games. They barely lasted a total of 5 turns between the two.
Indeed, very fast.
We're going to go one more to find out which player is still going to be in the running for top 64 and which one isn't quite going to make it. Poby Mensah will be choosing who goes first in this final duel.
I think we can expect to see more quick side decking.
Yeah. Basically, the only adjustments you have now are adjusting for the first or second turn.
Right.
You do your side decking for the general matchup between games 1 and 2, and then in game 3, the only real adjustments are for any unexpected side deck cards you see from your opponent, or adjusting for whether you think you're going to go first or second.
Players attacking the giant card and 3v3. Reminder, your match slips get turned in at the public event stage. There's a result slip box in the blue public event stage for 3v3 and attacking the giant card.
Looks like Bullblader got placed face down on the table. Switch back into the deck. And you put the Bullblader back in when you think your opponent is going to be forced into using a Jin-powered monster early on.
I honestly feel bad if I shoot this game.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I put mine.
This is my deck?
Yeah,
Quick count of the extra deck. I don't think anybody's side decking any extra deck cards here.
No.
But it's good just to make sure that you didn't shuffle any of them back into your deck.
I think in my entire life playing Yu-Gi-Oh! I've only included one extra deck card in my side deck, it was Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people that's the case.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things that you don't really need unless there's a machine deck that becomes super popular, like Karakuri.
Yeah.
When Karakuri was around, before they realized they could just drop a bunch of Naturia synchros on the field to lock everything out, it used to be the case that you could draw Cyber Dragon and maybe grab some Shoguns.
Yeah.
And make something big. Just one Shogun, not going to do it. Especially if they go Beast Barkion
Right.
Shogun. You're not going to get past either of them with just a 2,000 attack Chimera Tech.
But yeah, side deck space is valuable. Sometimes even more valuable than the extra deck space. So it's not that common to see extra deck monsters in the side deck. Although you do have that option. You can do that.
What would you do if there wasn't an extra deck limit?
I'd play 3 of everything.
You? Would you actually take the time to do it? And then write it out?
Yeah.
And then bring it out every single match?
It would really hurt to not have that option. If there's an extra deck monster I would need, and I don't have it in my extra deck, it'd be very upsetting.
I don't think you'd play 3 of everything. I think you might play at least 1 of everything. And maybe 3 of the most important cards for your own deck.
Fortunately, there is a limit of 15 cards in the extra deck, so we don't need to carry suitcases of cards to tournaments to house our extra decks.
Look, suitcases full of cards are extremely cool. Just ask Skyla.
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
Bermudez sets 2 cards face down, having been forced to go first, and Senju of 1,000 Hands comes down on Povivence's side. Senju searches out Nekroz VS Nekroz, and then sets a couple back rows of his own. Plays back to Bermudez. Bermudez tosses a Brianak of his own. Bermudez checks his face down cards. Taking his time to decide what to choose. Full Blader, Denko Seka, Shurit, and Nekroz Brianak in his hand. Denko Seka is an interesting pick. I didn't necessarily think we'd see that in, but since he does know that Povivense is using at least 1 trap that's based on something, torrential, he might have decided, oh, I'll throw it in. Maybe he's got other traps too.
Yeah, that is, yeah, it's very odd. I definitely would not have expected the Denko Seka.
The other possibility is they might have been playing next to each other the whole time. You might know about Solemn Scolding already.
Yeah, but even for Solemn Scolding, I feel like that's not really worth the Denko Seka.
Turns her into a 3,000 point burn spell.
Or they can just not activate the Scolding.
And
it gets pinned. Yeah, it gets pinned down for sure. But, you know, Mystical Space Typhoon can destroy it too. And it doesn't take your normal summon.
In this case, though, Denko Seka not really useful because he has his own set cards.
Yeah, that too, so.
We were distributed to Nekroz Cycle to put Nekroz Brianak on the field. And now he's going to get a search for a warrior-type ritual. Gets another Nekroz Brianak. Next up,
looks like he's thinking about
summoning it.
Okay, so it's a 1,700 attack monster that basically does nothing.
And he's going to run into the Torrential because Denko Seka's effect was not active due to his own set cards.
All right, so that Neo the Magic Swordsman really fell right into the Torrential tribute.
Thunderous Neo, the Storm Swordsman.
Yeah.
Denko Seka, interesting enough, even though she looks like a warrior or maybe a spellcaster, is a thunder-type monster, even with all the snow in the background. With the field now clear, Bermudez can banish cards from his graveyard, a ritual spell, and a Nekroz to get another ritual spell. But that's about it, and Povivense is up. He's got double Shurit, Shared Ride, Manju. Manju's the play, activating it to add a ritual spell or monster to the hand.
Looks like he's eyeing that Nekroz Colossalus, which would let him get any of the ritual spell cards that he wants.
More importantly, it gets you a Nekroz in the graveyard.
That too. Although that spell card looks pretty important here since he doesn't have one.
But in this case, instead of just straight up getting the spell, you also get the Nekroz.
Right.
In the graveyard.
2 for the price of 1.
Thinking very hard about this Cloudless. He ultimately does decide to take it. Very different duel than the last two.
Yes. There's more back and forth, a lot slower paced. The last two were incredibly fast.
Nekroz Cycle is the choice here. We also see that Pogimensa has a Brionac. Very useful in this situation. Brionac goes for Unicorn. Unicorn is discarded to bring Brionac back to the hand. 1 card set. Nekroz Cycle activated.
Looks like he set the Shared Ride first. That might be because, as you mentioned yesterday, he wants to conceal one of his cards in the event of a Mind Crush here.
And there are 3 of them that Bermudez could have sided in.
Yes, and likely did.
And in fact, Mind Crush is there.
There you go.
Played into it perfectly and loses both copies of Shurit.
So that was a great Mind Crush, but at least Pogimensa can take solace in the fact that Bermudez does not know about his Shared Ride that is face down.
Correct. Now he is forced to still Ritual Summon with the Cycle, which means that Manju is swapped out for Unicorn and 2,300 damage. Utterly brutal Mind Crush, but he could still swing back in this if he could get enough draws off that Shared Ride. It's a good thing he said it first.
Yes. And it looks like he's going to be using it this turn.
Yeah, Bermudez has a big pile of search cards.
Yeah, and he can't do much if he's not going to use any of them.
Nekroz Brionac and Reinforcing the Army, both search cards. Brionac is activated and the Shared Ride is chained. And Pogimensa will be drawing from here on out each time a card is added from Bermudez's deck or graveyard to his hand, except by card drawing effects. So Valkyris, A-OK, no draw off Shared Ride, but everything else, going to draw off Shared Ride.
Okay, so Bermudez adds Nekroz Unicorn to his hand, and Pogimensa draws a card.
And he's got that to pair with the Kaleidoscope. That would also result in another card draw. Bullblader is summoned up next.
It looks like he wants to limit the utility of that Shared Ride.
Yeah.
And not let Pogimensa draw too many cards.
Breakthrough skill is activated, though, and Bullblader is going to go down without a fight.
That's tough.
Or rather, because he had to fight.
Yeah.
Bullblader's used to not needing to fight.
Right? Bullblader normally would just wipe out the monster at battles, and that is how Bermudez was planning to keep that Unicorn down, the Nekroz of Unicorn down, and avoid searching for the rest of his turn.
But he's forced to. Nekroz Kaleidoscope to summon Nekroz of Unicorn, sends Herald of Arclight to the graveyard, and adds Nekroz of Valkyris to Bermudez's hand, and Pogimensa takes another draw.
Yep, so we got 2 draws out of that shared ride. And now it's back to his turn.
Not a bad turn, even after such debilitating Mind Crush.
Yeah. He recovered nicely there. I'd still say he's behind.
He's very far ahead on the scoreboard.
Well, yeah.
2 cards in hand, a face down, and a Unicorn versus 4 in hand. Breakthrough skill in the graveyard, and Unicorn on field. They actually seem to be about even. Hobie Mensah got ahead in the Exiton Night counting department off of last draw. And he's going to go even farther ahead with Senju.
That's true. His Book of Eclipse here isn't incredibly useful, though.
That's true. Very true. Quickly checks how his Kaleidoscope works. He's got a Brionac in his hand. And one thing that you don't see a whole lot, but sometimes it happens, is the dreaded double Brionac off of Kaleidoscope, or a Brionac Unicorn if you play a level 10.
Yeah, it doesn't happen
though,
often.
it looks like he's just going to go for a bit more of a standard play. Brionac's discarded next. That was Unicorn that was added to the hand off of Senju.
Looks like he's thinking about taking Valkyris and then using the Kaleidoscope to summon the Valkyris and the Unicorn.
Yeah, he's getting Gungnir. So he's got Star Eater in his extra deck. So he can summon both of them, but what he needs to make sure that he needs to make sure he still has a Nekroz card in hand so that he can destroy the attacker. Second Mind Crush off of Kaleidoscope.
Oh, and now he can't summon that
out.
So now he can't summon that Gungnir. There's no card from his extra deck that he can send to the graveyard to summon it.
Correct.
And no cards on his field and his hand.
There is no one single monster. Because Kaleidoscope is exactly one monster. It needs to be used either for the tribute or sent from the extra deck. Because you can't use another level 7 monster before Nekroz and Gungnir. There's no possible way.
Yeah. So
tries to crash Unicorns together.
Those Mind
Valkyris prevents it. Those Mind Crushes are just gargantuan in this final game.
But I guess Hobie Mensah is not in the worst of shape here.
He's still got a massive lead on the scoreboard anyway.
Yes. I mean, he still has a field, still has a hand. He can make a rank 4. You know, Bermudez doesn't have much. He has the Unicorn.
Trouble with the rank 4 is he'd have to burn his breakthrough skill to get past Unicorn.
He would have to do that.
And if he gets stopped by like a Trishula or something, could be just dead in the water.
Good point.
Taking a look at it anyways, he could in theory clear his field. Diamond Direwolf, I think, would be the way to do it in that case. But the other thing to think about is that if you keep the Unicorn on the field, you can keep trying to crash your Unicorn into the opponents, knowing that you have Gungnir in hand to prevent your own monster from being destroyed.
He ends up just setting the Book of Eclipse and ending his turn. Nothing too fancy.
It's another point where the Eclipse could actually come in handy, just to turn that Unicorn face down.
Yeah, that's true.
Jordan Bermudez very carefully considers his options. Attacks into Senju and gets Book of Eclipse. And that's even better because he's got his Senju face down. And when he flip summons it on his own next turn, that's another search. So while Bermudez will get a draw, Hobie Mensah will get to pick the exact card that he wants.
Yeah, so that seems like a pretty good use out of that Book of Eclipse.
Not bad at all. Book of Moon and Reinforcement of the Army are the remaining cards in Bermudez's hand.
That doesn't look incredibly strong.
No, Bullblader is gone, and Assura doesn't really help you until you have something to summon with it. And it's worth getting it out of your deck anyway so that you don't draw it. Or you could also get a Clausulus. That's also true. He takes the Shuret. Clausulus does Bermudez play. Has he got 2? Yes, 2.
He sets it so it flips with the Book of Eclipse to give himself an extra draw.
Smart.
Yeah, that was clever. It looks like he drew a Raigeki, and is that another reinforcement of the army in his hand?
Well, Raigeki is going to be super useful.
Yes.
Though one Nekroz monster can survive via
Thanks to
Gungnir.
Gungnir.
Hobie Mensah draws Nekroz Brionac, so now he's going to have multiple searches of ritual monsters. Senju's flipped face up. The effect is activated.
The Book of Eclipse had a very big impact on that duel in a lot of ways. It gave Bermudez 2 extra cards, and now it's giving search from his deck. So
Grabs Unicorn.
I feel like we're in a very different place than we were 2 turns ago.
Flip summons Nekroz of Unicorn. Bermudez has a Book of Moon, of course, that he could choose to use now, but he declines to do so. And the reason you would want to use it right then, if you were going to, is to stop the Xyz summon, which is coming. So you know your opponent has Breakthrough Skill in the graveyard to negate your own Unicorn.
So why didn't he go for Exciton Knight?
He's got more cards, I think.
Looks like 4 to 5.
It's 4 to 5. It also could be that he doesn't want to be cut off from damage this turn. Jordan Bermudez only has 4,300 life points left. There's a chance that Hobie Mensah thinks he can take all of that out.
That's possible.
Now that he has no monsters on the field, thanks to Diamond Direwolf, he can go searching for ritual spells. And that's the other reason that you would try to stop the Xyz summons, that you stick your opponent with the monsters on the field.
Ah, so maybe, yeah, the Exciton Knight would stay there. So maybe
right.
He wants that search.
Unicorn is banished from the graveyard, along with Cycle.
How much life points?
And Bermudez takes a quick check to see what ritual spells are left in the deck.
You took damage from Bull Blade. You took 700. So it's 43 minus 700. Right? It's 36. 36, right?
Not entirely certain what's being confirmed right now, but whatever it was, it has been confirmed. And Hobie Mensah grabs another Nekroz cycle out of his deck. Now got 3 ritual monsters in his hand, along with a Nekroz cycle. He's got 2 Shurits in the graveyard, where they were replaced by Mind Crush. So if he can get Nekroz Mirror out of his deck, which he can make use of them.
Looks like that's what he's doing now.
Nekroz Kaleidoscope and Brionac are both banished from the graveyard. And we saw him put the mirror to the front of the deck. Seems highly likely that that's the choice here.
So even if it's face down, it's still from the top?
We already, I believe, all
I believe the question is on, does Direwolf still destroy itself if it is face down? Diamond Direwolf specifically says destroy them, not those targets. So the first target, Diamond Direwolf itself, because it's a beast, beast warrior, wing type beast, the target does not necessarily have to be correct when the card resolves to still be destroyed. Now there's a mirror and a cycle in Hobie Mensah's hand, along with his 3 ritual monsters. Has he activated Brionac yet this turn?
I'm not sure. It's been a while. I don't think he has.
I don't think he has either. Because last turn when he used Brionac to get Unicorn to get Brionac back.
Yeah, and that's probably the Brionac in his hand.
Nekroz Kaleidoscope is activated, sends Herald of the Arclight to the graveyard, and that puts Nekroz Unicorn on the field. Lets him search a ritual monster out of his deck. This could be a prime opportunity to hit Bermudez with Trishula. Instead he gets a mirror. Oh, I see. He searched Kaleidoscope out of his deck with the other Kaleidoscope effect. So now he's getting the mirror. Reenact is now discarded.
There's the Trishula he's eyeing.
Gets Nekroz of Trishula. Says, now I'll make you regret making me discard both of my Shurits.
Yeah, now he's going to banish one from his grave to summon that Trishula, and this is actually really big here. Bermudez only has 2 cards on his field and 2 cards in his hand, so he's going to lose basically half of his cards here.
Not quite the Spirit of Hellpoemer, but just as nasty, Nekroz of Trishula.
Yeah.
The vengeful spirit of the Forbidden Synchro monster.
WCQ players, that is time for left. If you're in the middle of your match, please go to your 5 turn. And the match is here. If you need assistance with any of that, please raise your hand to call for a go. Once again, WCQ players, that is time for left.
And as we just heard, time was called in the 12th and final round of Swiss. Our match has a few minutes of time extension, so they are still playing in regular time. They have not gone to overtime yet.
Going to banish the Shurit here since it's more valuable in the graveyard, or
Yep, he picks the Shurit.
so I think he wants to hit the Raigeki here.
Yeah, also of note, the defense of Unicorn is far lower than Shurit's.
Yeah.
So if he had to put some weakling monster on the field with the rest of his Nekroz, then he'd be able to beat it. Or banishes Reinforcement of the Army. Remember, Raigeki only matters if you get a turn. And according to the scoreboard, it's 8,000 to 36.
Well, he's only attacking with the Trishula directly, so it looks like he does get a turn. He has no way to summon any more monsters to the field, it appears.
Has he used all 3 rituals this time? No, he hasn't used Cycle yet, but he has nothing to get.
So that Raigeki is pretty much as good as it gets for Bermudez.
900 left, and then he drives on Manju.
That Manju was pretty much as good as it gets, too.
But then, Nekroz of Gungnir, which has been lurking in his hand the whole time, is used to protect Trishula.
Now it's interesting. So
Bermudez still has a Shurit in his graveyard, it looks like. However, he took away the ritual spell with the Trishula.
Yeah, if there's no ritual spell card in the grave, looks like it's over. Right? You could get Valkyrus to try to survive another turn. But then I can't imagine what he would draw next turn that turns this around, because he'll still be without a ritual spell card.
Reparation of Rights might do it.
Well, there's none in the grave.
None in the grave, but you'd still get a monster.
He needs the combo.
Yeah, he needs 2 cards.
So he's really prolonging the inevitable here.
Another level 4. Another level 4 would be the one thing I can think of to get Exciton Knight.
That would work.
That's how you turn it around.
You're right. Another Manju would be nice, especially. Oh, he didn't protect the Manju, though.
Yeah, he did before, and that's how he's able to turn it to defense.
Okay. And then he drew another Valkyrus, it looks like?
Just that he has no plays, essentially, so these turns are going quickly. Manju drops next. I believe I saw Book of Moon get set there, and he just picked up another Valkyrie to get him another turn, barring Poby Mensa's own Book of Moon, which I believe he just set last turn.
Okay, so that will stop the Valkyrus and win him the game.
Manju attacks directly.
Well, actually, more.
Book of Eclipse. It was Book of Eclipse, not Book of Moon. And now he really is prolonging the inevitable.
Yeah. Hey, gotta do what you have to.
He's got a Valkyrus. He needs a mirror. He picks up Clausulus.
That's basically a mirror. It's virtually a mirror.
Activates a chair ride as
Hobie-
well. Hobie Mensah,
Why not? Draw more cards.
he doesn't care. As you are not going to beat me in this one. I've got you exactly where I want you, and I'm not even going to let you lay a finger on my life points. Nekroz Mirror is the search with Clauselitz. And that would be the biggest monster on the field if it were to stick. Bermudez checks the graveyard. Looking for trap cards, looking for Valkyris. And they just keep on checking each other's graveyards and banished piles. It just keeps happening. Every time I look back, they're looking through another pile of cards.
Yeah, it's a lot of cards in those piles.
All right, back to action. Nekroz Mirror is played, banishing Shuret. Valkyris is summoned. Book of Moon is activated, and Bermudez knows that's it. Crisp Hobie Mensah takes an 8,000-0 victory in Duel 3 of round 12, putting himself up to 29 points.
Should be enough.
That would be 9 wins. 9 wins, a loss, 2 draws. We'll see how the tiebreakers shake out and how many other people are in the same situation.
Yeah, there's no guarantee here.
When we get our top 64 players. Until then,